Breaking news today centers around Donald Trump and his latest frustration with the legislative process in the U.S. Senate. Trump, who has long expressed disdain for rules that require bipartisan cooperation, is once again pushing for the elimination of the filibuster, a move that Senate Republicans, particularly new Senate Majority Leader John Thune, appear unwilling to support. Trump's recent comments highlight his desire to operate the government with the same unilateral control he exercised as a CEO. In a statement, Trump lamented the filibuster rule, arguing that it obstructs the Republican legislative agenda. He pointed out that the GOP holds 53 seats in the Senate but still faces hurdles because 60 votes are required to overcome a filibuster and pass most legislation. However, Trump's approach is meeting resistance from his own party. Newly elected Senate Majority Leader John Thune of South Dakota has made it clear that he intends to uphold the filibuster rule. Speaking on the Senate floor, Thune emphasized the importance of preserving the legislative filibuster as a cornerstone of the Senate's role in fostering compromise and preventing the chamber from becoming a mirror image of the more partisan House of Representatives. Thune's defense of the filibuster underscores its significance as a procedural safeguard. The rule ensures that major legislation cannot be passed without some level of bipartisan support, protecting the rights of the minority party and promoting negotiation. Thune stated, "One of my priorities as leader will be to ensure that the Senate stays the Senate. That means preserving the legislative filibuster, the Senate rule that today has perhaps the greatest impact on preserving the founders' vision of the United States Senate." This statement came as Thune officially assumed his role as Senate Majority Leader, following a session that gavelled in to mark the beginning of the new Congress. With 53 Republicans in the Senate, Thune has a slim majority that provides enough votes to confirm Trump's cabinet nominees and federal judicial appointments, which only require 50 votes for approval. However, passing legislation will still necessitate bipartisan cooperation due to the 60-vote threshold mandated by the filibuster rule. Thune's speech reaffirmed his position against dismantling the filibuster, even in the face of potential pressure from Trump. This commitment echoes past instances when Democrats attempted to bypass the filibuster, most notably in 2022, when they sought to pass voting rights legislation. At the time, Republicans stood firm in defending the rule, and Thune has now made it a pillar of his leadership agenda. The filibuster has long been a contentious topic in American politics. While Trump and other hardliners view it as an obstacle to advancing their priorities, moderates and institutionalists see it as essential for maintaining checks and balances. Thune's stance reflects the latter perspective, emphasizing the importance of compromise in a divided government. Trump's push to eliminate the filibuster raises concerns about the potential for increased polarization and instability in legislative governance. Without the filibuster, whichever party holds the majority could impose its agenda without input from the minority, leading to sweeping policy changes that could be reversed whenever power shifts. Thune addressed these concerns directly, stating, "Unfortunately, today there are a lot of people out there who would like to see the Senate turn into a copy of the House of Representatives. That is not what our founders intended or what our country needs." His remarks underscore the belief that the Senate should remain a deliberative body focused on building consensus rather than rushing legislation through on narrow partisan margins. Despite Thune's assurances, skepticism remains about whether Republican leadership will maintain this position if faced with sustained pressure from Trump and his allies. Trump's influence over the GOP has often led elected officials to reverse course, as seen in previous policy debates. Critics point to the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade as an example of how Republican promises can be quickly abandoned. The debate over the filibuster is likely to intensify as Trump continues to push his agenda. For now, Thune's commitment to preserving the rule signals a willingness to resist efforts to centralize power in the executive branch. Whether this stance will hold remains to be seen, but it represents a critical moment for the Republican Party and its approach to governance. The filibuster debate also highlights broader tensions within the GOP. While Trump champions a more authoritarian style of leadership, Figures like Thune are working to uphold institutional norms. This divide reflects a larger struggle over the party's identity and direction in the post-Trump era. For Democrats and progressives, the filibuster remains a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can block Republican efforts to roll back hard-fought gains in areas like healthcare, voting rights, and environmental protection. On the other hand, it has also thwarted Democratic priorities when they have held the majority. The filibuster debate underscores the high stakes of legislative strategy in the current political climate. As Trump continues to press for its elimination, Democrats must remain vigilant, prepared to defend the rule when it serves their interests and challenge it when it obstructs critical reforms. Thune's comments today offer a rare moment of clarity in an otherwise turbulent political landscape. By reaffirming his commitment to the filibuster, he has drawn a line in the sand against Trump's authoritarian impulses. However, the durability of this commitment will be tested in the months ahead as legislative battles unfold. For now, the filibuster stands as a safeguard against one-party dominance, preserving the Senate's role as a forum for debate and compromise. Whether it remains intact will depend on the resolve of leaders like Thune and the willingness of their colleagues to resist pressure from Trump and his allies. Stay tuned for further updates as this story develops. In the meantime, remember to stay informed, stay engaged, and continue fighting for a government that represents all Americans, not just those in power.